Hello everyone, this is Rajesh Khade and welcome to my YouTube channel. A few days ago, I had posted a small video regarding the gig that I was doing, and at the very end of that video, I had this section over there.
If you think I should make a video about this entire routing and how everything is routed within Prodigy and analog, AES, EDB, let me know in the comments below. Bye-bye.
And the messages I got, the replies I got on this was really amazing. So, firstly, thank you so much for this great response. And I'm really glad that you would like to know what my workflow was for this gig. So, here I am, as promised, making this video showing you my workflow on how we executed this particular gig using the Prodigy MP. Now, before we dive into this video, there are a few things I want to make clear. The very first thing is that this video is going to be long because I am going to be explaining everything in as much detail as I can right now. So, what we are going to do is look at the entire plan on paper and then we are going to move on to the Globcon screen where we will see how everything is done. That being said, you do not have to watch the entire video from the start to end, although I would recommend you to do that. I will be putting in timestamps in the description, so if you want to jump to one particular section, you can do that. Second, do you have to do it the same way? No. You can do it whichever way you find works for you. Also, if you understand the concept, you can find your own way of doing the same things. There are multiple ways of achieving the same result depending on what kind of granularity or where do you need the processing. This workflow is what I felt was best for this event, and that's why I've done that. Thirdly, looking at this long video, one might think that it takes a lot of time to set up the Prodigy. Let me make it very clear. The video is long because I'm explaining everything. If you have this in your head, you can do it in probably 5 minutes. Moreover, you do not have to do any of this because within the Globcon, there is a factory template. All you can do is load up that factory template, and there's a ton of snapshots in there which can get you started on the go. One more thing is that the screen capture of the Globcon screen that you will be seeing was captured when the event was live. Hence, I'm not making any changes into the live signal. So whatever feeds you are looking at on the screen is the event going on. And lastly, I have a small video at the very end where I'm going to show you the input switching. Okay? That video is also when the event is on. So stay till the very end of this video and watch all of this. Let's now dive into the video. We will start with first explaining everything on paper. So let's look at the plan now. Let me first show you what the PA distribution is. Okay. So we have the main PA and a number of delay towers. So let's get into this. The main PA. In the main PA, we have Acoustics K1 with K1 SB, with K2 as downfills and KS28s as the subwoofers. Obviously, everything that I'm seeing is going to be left and right. Now moving on to the delays, we have three pairs of flown K2 delays. So our delay 1 is K2 left right. Delay 2 is also K2 left and right. Delay 3 is also a set of K2 left and right. Followed by, we have another 3 delay towers, the 4th, 5th and the 6th, which is of Kara. So we have delay 4, which is Kara left and right. Delay 5, which is Kara left and right. Delay 6, which is again Kara left and right. Beyond this, we have two more flown arrays, that is of RCF. So delay 7 is RCF, HDL20 is left and right, delay 8 is also RCF, HDL20 left and right, and at the last we have a stack of beta 3 point source speakers. We have more of this beta 3 at this position, and this position. So that's about the PA. And we need to send signal to each of these stacks individually, except for the RCF and beta 3. We are sending a direct signal which is then processed at that end. And obviously, we have signals flowing to each of this tower, which with control over each of this tower, definitely on the LA Network Manager and also on the Prodigy. The signal going to each of these towers is the main signal is a AVB signal, and the backup, as a backup, we are running AES signals. Except for the delay towers that have the RCF speakers, where we are running analog over Ethernet using Sound Tools devices. So that's it about the PA that we are using. Now let's move on to the console side of things to understand what we have done there. We have one Digico Quantum 338, which is the main, and another Digico SD10, which is going to work like a backup console. Because everything is on the opto core, we have the same input signal going to both the consoles. Now, let's look at how we have done this. At the center, the main console, Quantum 338, and then we have another backup, which is a SD10. From the Quantum 338, we are sending signal to two Prodigy devices for two different purposes. One of the Prodigy is used for PA processing, and the other Prodigy, which has the Waves Soundgrid card, we are using it for playback and recording. Now, how is the signal going to this Prodigy? First, the PA Prodigy is receiving left, right, subs, and center fill signals through matrix. This is routed to the Prodigy using Madi 1. So Prodigy is receiving signal from the console through Madi, which is my primary signal. I am also parallelly running AES from the Quantum into the Prodigy, which is my backup signal. If you remember, we had a SD10 which is on backup. That is also sending the same left, right, sub, center fill into my Prodigy via AES. Okay, so my Prodigy is receiving main signal from the main console via Madi and its backup via AES, and the last backup console SD10 sending signals through AES. Now, through Madi 3.4 and Madi 5.6, I am sending signals to the other Prodigy for recording and playback. And we are running everything on 96K. Okay. So now Madi 1 2 going to Prodigy running the PA, Madi 3 4 to the other Prodigy, and 5 6 to the other Prodigy doing playback and recording, and this running the PA. Then a lot of processing is happening within the Prodigy, which we will look at. Then signals are going out of the Prodigy. The main signal going to the LA amps is via AVB, and the backup is going via AES. And if you remember, we have some delay towers that are taking signal through analog. This is our signal flow from the console into both the Prodigy devices. The next step would be understanding what is happening here. But before that, I would like to show you the physical cabling that I have done in between the Prodigy and the Digico consoles. Here, we are looking at the back of the Quantum 338 console, and you can see three pairs of coax Madi cables connected into the Madi ports. So the Madi 1 port is carrying the main PA signal, and hence it will be connected to the Prodigy that is doing the PA processing. The cables connected on Madi 3 and 5 are carrying the recording and the playback signal in between the Quantum and the Prodigy. You can now look at how this cable is being patched from the console going towards my first Prodigy, and over there it is patched into the port Madi 1. The other two pairs of Madi cables, which are carrying the recording and playback signal, is patched to my other Prodigy into its Madi 1 and Madi 2 ports. After being patched into the respective Madi ports, how are these carrying signals is something we will see when we move on to the Globcon screen. For now, let's look at what we have done on the audio I/O of the console. Here you can see the audio I/O labeled SG1 to 32, which is carrying the first 32 channels at 96 kHz from Madi ports 3 and 4, and the next 32 channels from Madi port 5 and 6. And the PA signal is carried through Madi ports 1 and 2. You can see the outputs showing you the signals. So let's move on to understanding what we are doing in the Prodigy. The Madi signal, which is the backup signal from the main console, and the signal from the backup console. All these signals first are patched into something that we call the input manager. Input manager is what does the input switching. So this is necessary for input redundancy, and hence first step is to patch all the signals into the input manager. From the input manager, whichever signal is running live goes into something called the flex channels. This is so that I can do input processing on each incoming signal before it is distributed to the outputs. From this flex channels, now this signal is routed into different matrix mixer sources. We have different combination of matrix mixers like a 16 by 4 and a 8 by 8. In this situation, I have decided to use a 8 by 8 matrix mixer, and the reason I'm doing this is something probably you will understand as we move forward. So, this flex channel now becomes the source for different matrix mixer, and from this matrix mixers, we are distributing signal to the PA. So what happens after this reaches here? It becomes the source of different matrix mixers, which you will see matrix mixer 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the outputs of each of this, the first matrix mixer is feeding the main PA. So left, right, subs, and center fill. The second matrix mixer is feeding all the K2 delay towers. Okay, so delay 1, 2, and 3, left, right. The third matrix mixer is feeding all the Kara delay towers. So delay number 4, 5, and 6, left, right. And then the last matrix mixer is sending the direct signal to RCF and our beta 3 boxes. So we are using 4 outs here, 6 outs here, 6 outs here, and another 4 outputs here. These are then patched primarily into AVB and also AES. This is running analog. The AVB and AES signal from the Prodigy then reaches the LA 12X amps, which do the output switching. So, I hope this makes sense now. So, the input signal into the input manager, then into the flex channel. From the flex channel becomes the source of different matrix mixers. The output of those matrix mixers are then divided in different zone wise, and then that is patched to output signals. I hope I'm clear till now. And now let's move on to actually looking at all of this on the Prodigy MP. So here we are on the Globcon screen for this event. Now, the one in blue is the Prodigy that I spoke about running the PA, and the other one in green is the one that we are using for playback and recording. The rest of this is what I am using to monitor. Now, let's enter the Prodigy which we are using for PA processing. If you remember, I mentioned something about the input and how we are receiving signals from the console. The main signal we are receiving as left, right, subs, and center from the Quantum 338 via the Madi protocol. We are receiving a backup set of signals, same left, right, sub, and center fills via the AES protocol. And if you remember the backup console, I'm receiving the left, right, subs, and center via AES 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, the next step is we patch this input signals into the input manager. So if you look at this now, my input manager 1 and 2. The source 1 of my input manager 1 is Madi signal coming through console, the main console. The source 2 is the AES signal coming from the main console, and source 3 is the AES signal coming from the backup console. Now moving on to input manager 3 and 4, which is sub and center fill, the same is done here also. The same patching is being used where Madi is the main, AES is the backup from the main console, and third AES is from the backup console. These input managers are then patched into flex channels. You can already look at the metering. Let me show you the patching of how I have patched this into the flex channels. On the left is the source and on the right is where is the destination. So you can see input manager. Let's select input manager. Input manager 1, 2, 3, 4 being patched to flex channel 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now here, like The reason I have done this in Flex channel is if I wanted to do any kind of an input processing. Now let me just show you by entering my config mode on another of the Flex channel the different processings that we have. So I can use FIR filters, IIR filters, delay, dynamics, and all those sorts of things. Whatever EQ we want to do, we can do it here. So if I want to do any processing on the input side, this is why I have Flex channels in this workflow. Okay. Now moving on to the next step. The next step is now from this Flex channels, they go into matrix mixers. Okay. Now our sources become the Flex channel and our destination is the matrix mixer. So now I have patched the Flex channel 1, 2, 3, 4 to my matrix mixer 9 source 1, 2, 3, 4, which is left, right, sub center. Similarly, matrix mixer 10, 11, and 12, which are receiving signals left and right only. Okay. So I've patched my Flex channels into 4 different matrix mixers. These are the sources. Once the sources have reached the matrix mixer, we now need to create a mix so that we send the desired mix out. Before that, I wanted to define my matrix mixers as stereo, mono, whatever so I decided to define them as stereo because all the delay towers and main PA are left and right. Now, looking at matrix mixer 9, which is, if you remember, feeding the main PA, you can see output 1 and 2 is fed by left and right, which is panned to left and right. Output 3 is fed by the flex channel that is coming from subs. And output 4 is my center fill. Well, let's look at matrix mixer 10. Now, if you look at the names there, these are all the delay towers 1, 2, and 3, which are K2 left, right, K2 1 left, right, K2 2 left, right, and K2 3 left, right. And in the source, again, because I've made them stereo, I can just pan and send them at 0 dB. Now, moving on to the next matrix mixer, this is what I'm using for the Kara delays. So left, right, left, right, left, right. And again, because they are stereo matrix, I just have to pan them left and right and send them at whatever levels I want to, in this case, 0 dB. You can also see some amount of processing on the outputs of my matrix. Next, let's move on to the next matrix mixer, which is matrix mixer number 12. And here you can see the signal going for the RCF delay towers. And yes, there's a lot of processing being done here, and also delay is sent from here. And then we have further delays that are happening on the crossovers there. So yes, matrix mixer 9 feeding the main PA, matrix mixer 10 feeding the K2 delay towers, matrix 11 feeding my Kara delay towers, and matrix 12 feeding my RCF and the beta 3 delays. Anyways, this is the processing that I have on the RCF and beta 3 along with the delay times and everything. So we have now reached a point where we have done all the matrix mixing, and we now need to patch this matrix mixers to physical outs. AVB being our main signal going into the amps, this is the patching where I have patched our signals to different AVB streams. You can see that all the matrix mixer outs like PA left, PA right, similarly, all the delay towers are being patched to different AVB streams. So, what you are looking at right now are the delay tower streams. And even at the bottom, you can see the Kara being patched to different AVB streams. This is our main patching. We also have patched a backup signal that is patched through AES outs. I have two slots here, slots 3 and 4, which has AES outs. And you can see all the patching done to AES. We also have the RCF and beta 3 delays, which are patched via analog. And you can see my slot 1, which is an analog out. This is how we have patched all our matrix mixers to physical outs. Next, I want to talk about is groupings. All these matrix mixer outs, I have assigned different groups to them. You can look at the main PA group, the K2 delay, the Kara delay, RCF delay, and beta 3 delay. These are the groups that have all the matrix mixer out, and any processing that I do here will be applied on all the member matrix mixers. Similarly, in the overview layout that I have made, we can look at all the groups and its individual components. We can mute them from here, we can adjust their levels, we can directly access the processing right from the overview layout. This is the input manager view where I can see what is the active signal on my input manager. I have a small video at the very end. We'll get there at the end of this video. Now, coming to the sync tab, where you can define the clocking and everything. So, I have taken a word clock from my Digico, and that is the master clock here, which is then followed by the Madi stream, which is sending me signals, then followed by the AES stream. And then on the AVB module, I have a HDSRC on. Now let's look at the overview screen. What we see here in the overview screen is okay, I'm receiving signals through my AES in, through my Madi ends, and then signals going out through the AVB stream, signals going out through the AES and analog streams. At the same time, I can also look at the matrix mixers over there, which is showing me that my signals are going out. So, a very good overview, I would say. Now, let's look into the other Prodigy which we are using for playback and recording. We are receiving recording signal from the Quantum 338 via two Madi streams, and because we are running at 96K, we'll be receiving signals only on the first 32 channels of each of these Madi streams. So you can see we are receiving a total of 64 channels over two streams. Now, this Madi signal is being patched to my Net 2, which is my Wave Soundgrid card. You can see the first 32 channels patched from Madi 1 and the next 32 channels patched from Madi 2. This is for the recording part of it. Now, for the playback part of it, I have signals patched from the Soundgrid into Madi 1, the first 32 channels, and from the Soundgrid into Madi 2, which are the next 32 channels. And in this way, I have 64 channels of playback and recording. At the same time, I have patched two channels into my Dante module, which I am using as a backup LR recording. That's all about how I'm using the other Prodigy for my playback and recording. So this is all about what we are doing on Globcon on the Prodigy side of things. Now let's look at the amps and how we are monitoring the rest of it. So this is the LA Network Manager where you can see that everything, all the amps are logged onto AVB, which is the primary signal that I am using. And you can see the signals coming into input A of some of the amps, input AB of some of the amps, and stuff like that. This is where I have deselected my main signal as AVB, and then if you see my fallback is active. So if at all something has to happen to my AVB signal, it will immediately fall back to AES. That's how the output switching is happening on the amps side. There's definitely some amount of processing and delay that is happening on the network manager and the groups in there. So we have like multiple layers of processing, and depending on what is convenient for what purpose, we do the processing there. So this was about the LA Network Manager. Next, that I found very useful is the Meyer Sound Nebra software. At one glance, it is giving me an entire view of all my amps. Like it is showing me the Prodigy at the center and all the acoustics amps that I'm using. I kind of did some kind of what do you say, housekeeping to get all the namings and everything done properly. At the same time, if you look at my main screen for connections, so here I have organized in such a way that the center is my Prodigy, at the right is my PA right, on the left PA left. Then we have subs that are on the right. These are the K1SBs, and then the subs on the right and left. And similarly, like delay towers 1, 2, and 3 right side, delay towers 1, 2, and 3 left side, and then these are the amps feeding the Kara boxes. So the green shows that okay, yes, I'm receiving AVB signal. So if anything has to happen to my signal, I can immediately know which amp is having problems with my signals. So yeah, I found this Nebra software to be really intuitive. So, yeah, that's about it. This is what we have done on the processing side of things within Prodigy, and also Network Manager and how we are monitoring using the Nebra. So, yeah, that's all about my workflow for this gig. Now, let's look at that video. That's amazing, right? Yeah. Now, let's watch and hear this video again. Before I do anything, I'm just verifying if I'm getting signals on both my Madi and AES streams and whether they are auto-enabled, just to be sure. Followed by that, we will observe the input manager. You can see the active signal as Madi, and then it will switch to AES. After I connect the Madi signal back to the Prodigy, you can see it shifting back to Madi being the active signal. Now let's look at this video and also hear it. So here I've verified that I'm getting signals on Madi and AES both. Now let's look at that input manager. Switch to AES. Look at it again. It's AES right now. Shifted back to Madi. Did you hear it? No, right? That's the input manager on the Prodigy MP doing its job the right way. Thank you so much for watching this long video. If you like the video, if you think that this video is useful, do hit the like button and do share it with your friends whom you think will benefit from this. And thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.